of sun and speed, where legends come alive. The RevLimit Workshop's buzzing, it's where champions thrive. Daytona's heart is racing, engines roaring loud and clear. William White's back in action, 4 wins, let's give a cheer. RevLimit dreams on the track tonight, under the bright lights, they're ready to ignite. Caleb's got the spirit pushing every mile, with Michael Hosack and Gavin racing in style. He's cheering loud, he's got that neighbor pride, and Frank Fody's showing the world how to glide. Caleb pocking Murs in gear, feeling that adrenaline rush, fighting for every position in that Daytona crush. With Michael Hosack right behind, they're trading pain and flair, while Gavin's got a plan, and he's never playing fair. RevLimit dreams on the track tonight, under the bright lights, they're ready to ignite. Caleb's got the spirit pushing every mile, with Michael Hosack and Gavin racing in style. He's cheering loud, he's got that neighbor pride, and Frank Fody's showing the world how to glide. The Frank and Tyler Fody battling on that line. Dad knows how to handle, he's been through every grind. But Tyler's got ambition, racing in his eyes, creating moments on the track under those grand skies. As the laps keep counting down, the tension's in the air. One mistake could cost it all, it's a high-stakes affair. But with the crowd behind them, they'll push into the night, with dreams of glory shining, they'll give it all their might. RevLimit dreams on the track tonight, under the bright lights, they're ready to ignite. Caleb's got the spirit pushing every mile, with Michael Hosack and Gavin racing in style. He's cheering loud, he's got that neighbor pride, and Frank Fody's showing the world how to glide. So here's to the racers, chasing after that dream. At Daytona's famed circuit, they make the engine scream. With a heart full of courage, they'll reach for that checkered flag. In the RevLimit Workshop, every racer's a brag.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to the Daytona International Speedway for tonight's Daytona 200. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me in the booth, as always, is Alayton Norgard, and of course, our handy-dandy race controller, Jesse Rasimas. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. Looking forward to the end of Speedweeks.
It's not the end yet. We're still one race away, with the Daytona 500 still to come on Wednesday. I think Jesse's doing a little bit of pre-race work here, but whenever he gets back, he can chime in, tell us how he's doing here tonight.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize I was still on mute, but no, I'm doing good. Had a long night, so trying to make the best of it now.
Well, we're glad you're here with us as we take a look at tonight's starting grid. Tommy Ryan on the pole. Dusty Doer going to start to his outside, but will go to the tail of the field with an EOL penalty due to a banner violation. Row number 2, Austin and Abbott and Cale Pocock. Frank Foti and Mitch Avir in row 3. Row 4, Corey Abbott, and he's returning after a brief vacation. William White going to start in 8th. Row number 5, Andrew Hardcastle in 9th, and Caleb Pecumer round out the top 10. Michael Hosick and Jay Connor in row number 6. So, Alayton, why don't you take us through the next page here?
On 13th, we got Connor Thompson and Zachary Tyler in 14th, Shea Mitchell in 15th, and Jeff Ryan in 16th, Tyler Dixon in 17th, and in 18th, we got Dave Huckleberry, Hunter Smith in 19th, Jaden Rasimas in 20th, Josh Personette in 21st, Harrison Talon in 22nd, Casey Hatch in 23rd, and Josh Clark in 24th.
Starting 25th tonight, Chris James with Andrew Rucker to his outside. David Phillips and Ray Bracey make up row number 14. Row 15, Gavin Higgins. Shout out neighbor Pete alongside Chase George. Brett Baldeck and Chris Albrecht make up row 16. Row 17, Josh Osborne and Daytona 24 winner Justin Vandermarl for Fueled Up Racing. Josh Smith and Andre Trinoga gonna round out your top 36. Alayton, take us through the rest of the field.
Rest of the field, Austin Sally in 37th, Kyle Hanshaw in 38th, Kurt Gibson in 39th, Jacob Adams in 40th, and Logan Shea rounding out the field in 41st.
Tonight's race will be 80 laps in distance. As we just try to get that grid off your screen. For some reason, it's wanting to hang out with us just a little bit longer. That's all right. We're some cool guys up here. We'll get that off there eventually, guys. Why don't we go ahead and make some race picks here? We'll start with you, Jesse Rasimas.
I'm gonna. Well, yeah, that's a hard one. The plate races are so hard to call, but let's go with Caleb Pecumer on this one.
Caleb Pecumer, that's a pretty solid pick. Going to start in 7th here tonight. Alayton Norgard, why don't you go ahead and give us your pick as we dealing with a little bit of a technical difficulty. We'll go ahead anyways and get this race underway. Alayton, who do you got?
Yeah, these plate races are a bit of a toss-up, but I'm going to stick with playing favorites and go with Andrew Hardcastle tonight.
Andrew Hardcastle, your pick. I'm going to go with Dave Huckleberry, driver of the number 52 machine, to get it done tonight. And I guarantee the first caution, I'll get a text from Dave hating on that one just a little bit. Let's see if I can just get this to clean up just real quick here. Not sure what the issue is.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk us through this here, Alayton?
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest for anything.
There we go. Just a brief interruption there as we get back underway. Tommy Ryan and Austin and Avnet lead the way. Frank Foti, Cale Pocock, and Corey Abbott, your top 5 as they head down the front straightaway to complete lap number 1. Overlays don't want to work here, so we'll just go hey, there it is. Tommy Ryan still leads the way. Biggest mover so far, Jeff Ryan, up 5 spots on the day.
Yeah, we're going to have people moving up and down the field quite quickly here. We did have Josh Osborne kind of drop out of the pack, and he's already well out of the draft, so he is not off to a good start in this race.
Not a good start so far for some of these guys. Josh Osborne quite a ways back from Hunter Smith, who brings up the rear of the pack. Logan Shea did not make the call for tonight's race. It was supposed to be his Elite Racing League return after, I think, a couple years away for Logan Shea. But unfortunately for him, he will not start tonight's event. And we mentioned Dusty Doer going to the rear of the field with an EOL banner violation penalty. He's worked his way up to 32nd now, so he's on his way forward at this point in the race. So we'll keep our eyes on him as the drivers work their way 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the back straightaway. Kale Pocock, one of the newest Abbott Motorsports drivers, up on the high side, leading that outside lane. He's got William White just behind him, and of course William, as mentioned, making his return from suspension after picking up the first 4 races of this 2025 season.
Yeah, and these guys are staying quite a bit more calm than we've seen so far in Speed Weeks. If this was any other series, I think we'd be 3 wide by now, but we've made it to lap 4 without it, so might be settling in for a decent green run here.
We'll definitely keep our eyes on that, as there's a bit of a shuffle towards the rear of the field. We're going to see shuffles all night long as drivers jockey for position. You got Casey Hatch side by side there with Justin Vandermarl. Those 2 drivers, of course, the owners of Fueled Up Racing. Shout out to them. They picked up the victory last night in the Robiles Photography Grand National Series with driver Daniel Martinez. Martinez not in the field tonight, but happy to see him back in an Elite Racing League victory lane. And of course, as mentioned earlier, Alayton, we're going to wrap up Speed Weeks tomorrow night right here on the Elite Racing Network with the RevLimit Workshop Daytona 500. So shout out to Thomas Coonan and RevLimit Workshop for stepping up in a big way for the Elite Racing League and playing a big part in our Speed Weeks. Couple other drivers to keep an eye on here tonight. Some drivers playing it safe at this point. Dave Huckleberry has opted to slot towards the rear of the field. He's found some pretty competent partners behind him in Casey Hatch, and I believe that's Hunter Smith back there as well. Definitely a good group to work with. Others working their way forward. Ray Bracey up 11 spots. Chase George, Chris Albrecht, Justin Vandermarl, and Kyle Hanshaw all up about a dozen positions each here in the early goings on lap number 6.
Yeah, one of the upsides of going 3 wide is that you get more the potential for more movement in the field, but with this safe 2 by 2 racing, people are kind of staying fairly static. There's people moving up and down between lanes, but not huge changes in position otherwise.
One thing to note as well, just unlike the other series, we do not have any sort of stages in this RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network, so we will not award additional points throughout the evening.
And we do actually have some 3 wide a little further back in the field. Dusty Dewar and Kyle Hanshaw trying to work their way up the middle. Dewar was a little loose there for a second, but straightened it up before the corner.
That doesn't really surprise me to see Dustin Dewar working his way up through the middle. Dusty's one of those guys that typically does find his way up towards the front of these Daytona and Talladega races. No matter what he's got to do, he's usually pretty strong on these play tracks.
Yeah, he's not afraid to make those aggressive moves to make something happen. The timing isn't always the greatest, but I mean, sometimes you get bored, gotta make something happen.
No, you're exactly right. Sometimes you gotta just do it and see what happens. And for Dusty Dewar, that's usually the approach, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see how it pays off for him here tonight. A couple other drivers just to keep an eye on throughout the evening that seem to be pretty good on these play tracks. Andrew Rucker, driving that number 64 machine. That is a Pro Edge Racing development driver, of course, in Rucker. An elite race winner as well. So watch for him towards the end of this race to find his way up to the front. Of course, Justin Vandermarl, we mentioned him already. He does have a plate win on the Cup side in the Elite Racing League, so that'll be another driver to watch. Tyler Dixon, very strong on these tracks. Harrison Talon, another guy to keep an eye on. Josh Personette, of course, is a perennial front runner on these play tracks. And by the way, if you saw the betting odds for tomorrow night's RevLimit Workshop 500, put some money on that Josh Personette fella, because he was kind of gypped by the odds makers, placed at a 6,500 to 1 odds or something along those lines. So very, very good payback for that Josh Personette machine.
Yeah, some of those odds are a little questionable, but I mean, you're going to have disagreements regardless on something like that, especially in a sim environment like this. There's not like a lot of knowns like you would in real life odds, I think.
Now, I want to bring in Jesse Rasimas here real quick as we take a look at Jaden Rasimas in the 19 machine. He's lost the pack and kind of running by himself towards the rear. Jesse, do you have any updates as to what happened to the driver, the number 19? All the caution's out, so it doesn't matter.
So it was when Dusty was trying to shoot up 3 wide. He kind of caught the wall and just went to the back. So I was actually looking at a couple of different incidents during that time where I was just kind of silent. Austin Sally actually got to the back of Josh Smith. They both lost the draft as well. So yeah, there was just quite a bit to look at there.
Well, the caution's out, so we'll take a peek as to what happened here. Looks like Kirk Gibson going to be involved. Josh Clark going to be involved. Justin Vandermarl. Let's see if we could take a look a little further up. Harrison Talon blinks, and I believe that's going to be what triggers this incident around Kirk Gibson. I believe Talon going to come back. Gibson checks up. Everyone just kind of stacks into the back of him here. You see Hanshaw involved, Justin Vandermarl involved. I believe Andre Trenoga going to get involved in this one rather late. Yes, he does. The 23 machine comes into this wreck about an hour after it begins and just piles into everyone. Doesn't even lift off the gas pedal. Gets into Huckleberry as well after already getting into the back of cars ahead of him here. So Rucker gets impacted. Huckleberry going to get impacted. Probably going to run into Hanshaw too. No, Huckleberry runs him down into the wall. And caution flag going to be out, but brake pedals a little absent.
Yeah, I happened to be on Harrison's car when he started blinking, and I was trying to change cameras to see where he was at in the field, and then when I finally get back to the field, things are just falling apart. Kind of unfortunate.
Definitely unfortunate there, and I feel bad for Huck, man. He's been caught up late in wrecks a couple of times this week. Just incidents that he wasn't even part of. Cars coming from way far back, just running into the back of him and destroying his race machine. It happened in the truck race on Sunday. Happened again tonight in the ARCA car. Just unfortunate for Dave and a couple others that are getting involved in these incidents when drivers just aren't checking up whatsoever for incidents that are happening an hour and a half up the road from them.
Yeah, there's you always hear the phrase ARCA braking, but you never think you're going to see that in the league. But unfortunately, we've seen that multiple times this season already.
That's such a stupid term as well, because it's literally ARCA brakes don't exist. You're just coming from half a track back, running into an incident that you have no business being involved in. And I know I'm being pretty critical right now, but there's certain drivers that we're seeing this every time they're on the racetrack. It's just continuously running into the back of other drivers, and just unfortunate. But caution number 1 out here on lap number 12. We're going to step away real quick, pay some bills. We'll be right back. It's the Daytona 200 in the RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network on the Elite Racing Network. Don't go anywhere.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at Daytona. Caution number 1, just about to wrap up here. A multi-car stack-up triggered by a bit of a blink on the Harrison Talon machine leads to a multi-car incident and some late entries into the wreck as well. But back on our way here, lap number 14. Alayton, hopefully this cleans up just a little bit after that incident that we had. It hasn't been too crazy so far, but obviously not necessarily avoidable incidents because it was triggered by some blinking, but at the same time, hopefully we stay clean, stay green, and get some good racing in, as we got one below the line that looks to be Josh Osborne. And keep in mind, earlier on, he lost the draft on the start of the race by doing the same thing, and looks like he's going to do it again.
He has managed to stay on the lead lap at least, so he didn't suffer too badly. But yeah, he could definitely use some work on dropping to the back of the pack without losing the pack for sure.
And Dave Huckleberry rejoining the field. Good to see Dave back out on the racetrack after his involvement in that earlier incident. Jesse, whenever you got the time and got the answers, why don't we go ahead and get a ruling on that first caution of the day?
So the initial is actually just a racing incident, unfortunately. There was just two guys that lagged out at the same time. They backed off because they had no idea where anybody was, and everybody else just kind of collected into it. After that, though, the 23 kind of came in almost 180 mile an hour into the wreck. So he was given a tally and opted to disconnect afterwards. So
there we go. Tally to the 23 of Trenoga for late involvement in that earlier incident. Otherwise, it's been an okay race so far, and Jesse, I'm going to mention it just because you do have a connection to this driver, but that caution kind of saved that driver of the number 19 machine.
yeah, it kind of saved a couple of people, actually. I mean, it saved the 8-5, the 19 especially, but they all three of them actually lost the draft, so it was definitely a blessing to get that caution for those guys.
I do want to give the field some credit here in that if it wasn't for those blinks and the reaction to the blink of checking up instead of just driving to fill the space, we wouldn't have gotten a yellow. So that's a reasonable reaction to it. Without those blinks, we would have stayed green, I'm pretty sure. So credit where it's due, I think.
Speaking of credit where it's due, I want to give credit right here to these Lake Norman Motorsports drivers in Austin and Abbott and Frank Fody, and same to the Abbott Motorsports drivers up top in Corey Abbott and Cale Pocock. these four drivers doing a really nice job leading the field right now. William White up there, Jay Connor as well. So really good to see some of these guys working their way towards the front. Some of them we don't normally see at the front of these races, especially with Austin and Abnett, and that's no jab at him or anything like that. He's still very, very new to iRacing, so being able to lead even at these super speedways does take quite a bit out of the driver, and shows that he's able to control his car enough to have people trusting him enough to push him. So shout out to Austin and Abnett. Good drive here so far.
Yeah, for sure. Taking the push can be hard. Even giving the push, especially when you're on someone's bumper for laps at a time, it can be tough to keep those cars lined up, especially if you're less experienced at it and you're fixating on the bumper in front. That's a recipe for just weaving back and forth, and that's a bad push waiting to happen. But we're not seeing that from these league cars right now.
No, absolutely not. And I know both of you guys have quite a bit of experience on these super speedways. What's something, and actually in these ARCA cars as well, as we're coming up on the lap car of Andrew Rucker, what's something that these drivers have to do a little bit differently in these cars compared to maybe the Grand National cars last night, the trucks on Sunday, or the Cup cars tomorrow?
So these cars, I think there's still a misconception with them that they can't push, but that hasn't been true for something like 9 or so months now. They actually push better than I think the Xfinity does right now. You still don't want to push super hard because the bumpers still aren't perfectly lined up. You can get under the rear bumper of the car in front and lift them up, but that's a lot less of a concern than it used to be. I want to say the heat is a little better than it is in the Xfinity and Cup car as well. So in a lot of ways, it's easier in these than those two, but it still definitely has its challenges.
Yeah, so the Xfinity car yesterday, you were actually only able to push for maybe the back straightaway before you started overheating. And as far as the bumpers being lined up, I unfortunately haven't had a chance to run these cars when they put that update out to align the bumpers a little bit better, so I'm not 100% positive how that works now.
Yeah, it was around the time that they were doing the scans for the new Gen 4s. It was kind of stealth updated, I think. It might have just been a setup change, I'm not sure.
Looks like we had a bit of a bobble there out of Cale Pocock. He's fallen to the rear of the field. Not sure if he was getting a bit hot behind the car that he was pushing, or if he just didn't feel comfortable being up towards the front, because he is falling now a little bit further back towards the rear of the field. And shout out right now to a driver that's just entering the top 10, Jacob Adams, making his return to the Elite Racing League, currently running up in the 10th position. He's up 30 spots on the day, started 40th out of the 40 cars that took the green flag this evening. So nice job so far by that number 53 machine of Jacob Adams.
I think what might have happened with Cale is he was starting to overheat, and with the teammate behind him in William White, he might have gotten out of line to let him take over the push, and then couldn't get back in behind Will, and has just kind of been shuffled back.
So I do want to apologize that it's so dark here. It's just the racetrack itself not offering much light tonight, it seems, for these ARCA cars. So Daytona president, if you're watching, turn those lights on, buddy. We need some better visuals out here at this Daytona International Speedway.
And it's weird because when you're in the car, it feels plenty bright, but from these external cameras, it doesn't quite translate as well.
No, it definitely does seem bright. I mean, we're riding on board here with Caleb Pecumer, currently sitting in that 9th position, and it definitely does get dark. It seems a little bit on the front straightaway, but otherwise the racetrack pretty bright. Just not on the external cameras today for some reason. Just popping open the track map here briefly, just to take a peek at where the leaders are in comparison to any sort of lap traffic. You can see that gaggle of cars working their way down the back straightaway. Now that is your lead pack. The 64 of Andrew Rucker is just up the road. He will be the next car to go an additional lap down. Of course, being the Elite Racing League, the 6 lap down rule is in effect. Rucker about to go 3 laps down, which will put him halfway towards that parking point of the night. Dave Huckleberry, I believe the only other car 1 or more laps down, still out on the racetrack. He currently sits at 5 laps behind your race leaders. Let's go high above as the leaders quickly work their way by Andrew Rucker. You just see the speed comparison between that 64 and that high-flying pack of leaders working their way by. That's the difference of draft here, guys. And engine, I'm sure.
And he's got quite a bit of damage. He's about 35 miles down on what the pack is doing right now, so he's itching for a caution to get some more repairs done, but it never seems like you get one when you're in that kind of situation.
And just speaking of the speed of these cars, let's take a look at Austin and Abnett, currently the lead car as he works his way down towards turn number 1. Looks like he's going to tap out about 195 miles per hour, so pretty darn sporty in that number 60 machine for Lake Norman Motorsports as we're working our way through lap number 26 of 80 here today. Race fans over on the YouTube chat, let us know, who are you cheering for tonight? I know we got neighbor Pete hanging out in the YouTube chat. David Westergreen over there as well. Mentions that his stomach is acting up a little bit, so we hope you feel better soon, buddy. I know you got a big race coming up tomorrow night with the Daytona 500. Mark Robilis over there as well. Check out robilisphoto.com for all your photography needs. Mark's always got you covered. New leader Michael Hosak in the 24 machine for Covered Bridge Racing. Currently up on the high side of Austin and Abnett. He's got Jake Connor for KOR Motorsports just behind him. And South Shore's Ray Bracey up into the top 5. Bracey up 23 spots on the day. Currently doing a nice job putting himself up into a good position here just prior to the halfway point.
Jacob Adams trying to make something happen here, starting that top 3rd line, trying to move up towards the front.
I believe that's Josh Clark there with him as Jake Connor going to come up to the high side. Let's go high above and watch that 3rd lane developing. They've picked up quite a few cars, so they might be able to get a bit of momentum going here, especially if they can grab some tail off of that Michael Hosak machine.
Yeah, Hosak is kind of riding in
Harrison
between
Talon
lanes
in the wall, by the
times.
way. Sorry about that, Alayton. Harry was just stuck up in the outside wall.
Yeah, with Hosak kind of straddling lanes, it's helping out 2 lanes at once, which I don't like the idea of doing that because he can't keep both lanes covered the entire time. So it's just going to end up putting more pressure on him eventually. But now that he's moved down to the bottom, it's kind of become Corey's problem, not his. But we're 3 wide in the front, coming up on a couple lap cars here, so this could get scary if they don't move down to the apron.
That was going to be bad.
That was Dusty Dewar. This is going to be bad.
We'll take a look at this one. Caution flag has flown once again, and I believe that involves Josh Osborne in the 07 car, staying ahead of your race leaders as they approach him. Just nowhere for them to go. They're already 3 wide. Had the option to go the bottom, opts to stay up top, and that's going to collect quite a few drivers throughout the field, including some of our race leaders that are going to get a pretty big piece of this one. Osborne going to go for a wild ride here. Gets sent off the top of the Jay Connor machine into the Kyle Hanshaw machine. But I want to take a look at that one once again. But we'll back it up just a little bit further. So Osborne has the field behind him. You can't really see. Let me see if I can get from the gearbox so we can see the field coming. There they are. So he has the option. He knows they're 3 wide behind. Has the option to drop to the bottom, maybe go the apron. Goes middle for a second, now back up to the top. That's the unpredictability of a lap car. And gonna collect Connor, Higgins, Adams, Hanshaw gonna get a piece of this one as well. Osborne, you can see the wild ride that he goes on and gonna end on top of the Kyle Hanshaw machine. But numerous cars involved in this one, triggered by lap traffic. So caution number 2 out on lap number 31. We'll be right back here in a moment on the Elite Racing Network. Don't go anywhere.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back here at the Daytona International Speedway, working caution number 2. Shout out to Dave Huckleberry, by the way, for some cameras that look like the flashlight might actually work on them here tonight, so we can actually see what in the world's going on and see some of the questionable moves out there on the racetrack, which in just a moment we'll bring in Jesse Rasimas once he's done all of his race control work to tell us his thoughts on the latest incident. But Alayton, what do you think, my friend? What are your thoughts on that latest incident out there on the racetrack?
So you can make 4 wide work here, but this isn't Talladega where you can run 4 wide as a regular thing. You have to be, as the top car, on the wall, as the bottom car, on the yellow line. And Osborne was nowhere near the wall. So that was just a recipe for disaster. And Jay was put in an impossible position, I think, where if he checks up for Osborne, he gets run over or someone behind him in that line gets run over and we wreck anyways. It is just a terrible choice by Osborne to stay on the track there.
That it was, as we're coming back to the green flag this time. Heads are being shaken, and hopefully something clicks after they give it a good shake, and we can have some smart moves as we get back underway. Green flags back out. Michael Hosick, Corey Abbott, Gavin Higgins, Austin and Abnett, and William White, the top 5, as we're back underway here in the Daytona 200. Still to come this week, of course, the RevLimit Workshop 500 coming up tomorrow night here on the Elite Racing Network. I just don't want to see any more incidents like we just saw there, Alayton. It was just, we've seen some questionable stuff tonight that we definitely want to see cleaned up moving forward, especially being the development series. If drivers want to take the next step, the first step they got to do is, first off, find brake pedals. Second step is thinking their moves through so as not to kill the rest of the field. Harsh, yeah. I know, but it's true. As we're going to bring in Jesse Rasimas. Jesse, what's the ruling on that latest incident to bring out caution number 2?
So that one is going on the 07 of Osborne. More on his decisiveness on where he was going to run when the pack was coming up to him. So I kind of gave everyone a warning. If you're a lap down, you either got the yellow line, the wall, or take it to the apron. Those are your 3 options.
So middle lane back to high lane, definitely not the option you want to go with, folks, as there's your call from race control, as I believe that was Josh Osborne down on the inside lane as the field went by. Yes, it was. So Osborne back out on the racetrack, or on the apron, I guess, as he's back underway here on lap number 35. Does look like we've lost a couple of cars at this point. Actually, no, just one, in Andre Trenoga, who, of course, was heavily involved in incident number 1 of the evening.
Yeah, we've got a couple more that are a lap away from being parked in Osborne and Huckleberry. Hopefully Dave is able to get some wave around at some point.
Yeah,
here,
it looks like he's able to keep the draft now at least, so he should be all right.
Dave's got some help from Brett Baldeck just behind him. Kirk Gibson there as well. Tyler Dixon. He should be all right. He has some friends to work with. Osborne, though, he is alone out there on the racetrack, so one more lap down, and that will be day over for Josh Osborne as we're quickly approaching the halfway point.
Jake Connor actually packed it in for the night as well.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes, Jake
quite
Connor.
a big hit on the inside wall there.
Yeah, it was a massive hit. I mean, you saw Josh Osborne ricochet off the top of that car, so it was definitely quite the hit. As you see these guys working their way around 2x2x2 most of the way through. Looks like Jacob Adams working his way up in the middle. That's Austin Sally up top, Harry Talon on the bottom. Someone else is right there as well with Harrison Talon. I believe that's not Josh Smith. Chris Albrecht is the other driver down there in the 27 machine, the FS Challenge number 27. Shea Mitchell back here as well in car number 08, doing a nice job.
And just behind him is Andrew Hardcastle in the 22. He was actually bailed out by that last yellow. He had lost the draft and was going to be in danger of going a lap down, but
his connection bailing out just a little bit at this point on that 22. Hopefully he is able to get that solidified as you see Corey Abbott leading, or Corey Abbott second in line on the bottom. Michael Hosick leading the way currently. Gavin Higgins on the outside with William White behind him. Austin and Abnett on the bottom. Geez, I got to get my numbers right here tonight. Josh Personette in the 48 machine down on the bottom. Currently up inside the top 5. Shout out to Josh joining us tonight.
Yeah, the tail end of this pack where cars are starting to single file out, I'm seeing a little bit of scariness just with people not committing to a line, and so they change lanes, and the person behind them isn't expecting it when they have a run and have to check up or do something to avoid it. And don't really want to see it, but they've kept it green with that so far.
Yeah, Robert, as I'm looking through the cameras, how we were talking about how dark it looks from some of these views, take a look from the blimp view. It looks like there's no lights on right now.
It's bedtime up in the Goodyear blimp. Well, I think they're wrecking. They might be.
Yep.
They are. Everyone's dead. Rest in peace. It's a funeral.
Is that Andrew Rucker getting lapped?
That's Andrew Rucker mowing the lawn. Is that what happened with the incident? Was it the lap car?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Rucker running 30 miles an hour down.
Well, let's see if we can get a look at this one. Andrew Rucker on the bottom. Oh, the field just trying to scatter around him. Austin and Abnett gets a little wobbly pop right there. Gonna collect a couple other drivers. Rucker goes for a slider. Man, this involves quite a few cars. Jaden Rasimas, Josh Personette, Kyle Hanshaw, Jacob Adams, Shea Mitchell, Austin and Abnett, Jeff Ryan, Harry Dallin. Might be easier to tell you who wasn't involved. Casey Hatch, Chris Albrecht, Josh Smith, Austin Sally. Man, lap cars just got to stay on the lead lap tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think Ray just called out the big thing there on the in-game voice of Hossack stayed on the bottom up until the last second to get every bit of draft off of Rucker that he could, and that just gave the bottom line no time to react.
I want to pull this up from Austin and Avnett's in-car view. We'll back this up a little further here. So in Abnett, tucked in behind Abbott. We'll slow it down. Andrew Rucker. Can't see him yet. Can't see him. Last second. I mean, you see an Abnett, send it to the middle, unsettles the race car, goes for a slide. I think Austin and Abnett actually going to end up being okay. Doesn't get hit anymore, and luckily has that backstretch chicane that he's able to jump down into to lock down the brakes. So an Abnett going to be okay, but that definitely could have been much worse for the driver, the number 60, who's having a really, really strong run tonight. Unfortunately for Hossack, or actually I should say unfortunately for Rucker, getting involved in that incident right there. I want to bring up Corey Abbott, just have a quick word about what he saw or didn't see right ahead of him there at the time of the caution. Corey, it's Robert and Alayton up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
It looked like it got a little bit spooky in front of you right there as you guys were lapping the 64 Rucker. What did you or didn't you see out of the windshield of that number 21 car?
So I had thought, I didn't hear Rucker very well because we were talking strategy. So I thought he said he was going to go to the bottom, which he did. I was right on Hossack, and so as we got off the corner, Hossack just kind of darted and it caught me off guard, and then I saw they all wrecked behind me. Yeah, it just caught me off guard. I didn't expect it quite so suddenly.
It definitely looked like a sudden moment right there. What are your thoughts so far on some of the things you've seen out on the racetrack at the halfway point, and what do you need to do to get up there and get that win here in 40 laps?
It's been chaotic to say the least. The safe place right now definitely seems like it's at the front. Keeping track position is going to be everything here. As for winning, I mean, it's a super speedway. It's gonna take having the right pusher and a little bit of luck. I'd like to think Will could get behind me and push me to a win, but I know he wants it just as badly. So I don't know. We'll see.
If it comes down to it at the end of the race, it's you and the 43 side by side. The rest of the field has broken out into a dance behind you guys. Are you willing to wall that 43 for the victory or what?
No, that'd be an EOL. Or it'd be a tally. Would it be an EOL for intent wrecking? Or
I mean,
if it's intent, you're getting suspended.
Rubbin's
probably.
racing, son.
Yeah, to rub him, yeah, I'd rub him. I'd rev him. He's got enough wins already. He doesn't need another one.
Yeah,
It's like It's like Tyler Foding in those series. He doesn't need more.
All you gotta do is give him a good rub, and you can get that victory. Why don't you go ahead and shout out your sponsors and partners?
I got to shout out the Abbott Motorsports guys. Will, Andrew, Caleb had a good run. We got shuffled there early on, threw him back. He'll find his way back, though. He's fast. All the sponsors we have, there's too many, but they're all awesome. I love them all. And you guys always put on a great show, so thanks to you guys, too.
Well, Corey, best of luck. We hope to see you up here in Victory Lane a little bit later on.
Thanks, guys.
That is Corey Abbott, driver of the number 21 machine for Abbott Motorsports. And looks like we got company. Chris Wright joining us up in the booth for the second half of tonight's race. Chris, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. I just got your message. Figured I'd jump in here, see what was going on.
It's been a wild one so far. 3 cautions in, less than 40 to go now, 39 laps remaining. Michael Hostek, Corey Abbott, William White, Frank Foti, and Caleb Pecumer, the top 5 getting set for the upcoming restart here. Good to have you up in the tower with us. We'll let you make a race pick since you weren't here earlier on, but just so you know, a couple of them do have damage at this point.
Well, I don't want to pick who you guys picked. You know, Frank Foti won at Talladega in the Xfinity car last year.
Frank's available.
I know Caleb Pecumer. That's another guy out here. How's Ray Bracy looking tonight?
Ray Bracy was up in the top 10 earlier on, I believe. Got involved in a caution, but nonetheless still up there in the top 30 at this point. Still a long way to go. And you know Ray, he's going to find his way back to the front.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll take Ray Bracy right here.
It's a good pick. Alayton, we're back under green. Do you think we can maybe make it to the end of this one under the green flag?
All the way to the checkered
All the way
flag
to the
is
end.
probably a bit of a stretch. I'm not sure what the fuel range on these things are, but I think we might be able to make it on gas from here. I'm not positive.
I definitely think you can make it to the end.
I actually heard a little bit of chatter on people that were pretty close. I don't know exactly who, but I did hear it over comms.
New race leader Corey Abbott takes the bottom lane ahead of Michael Hostek. Frank Foti now up top with help from Chris Albrecht. Where in the world did he come from? He was outside the top 25 not too long ago. Now finds himself on the outside of row number 2. Good drive by Chris.
Yeah, especially with all the things that can happen in these races. You can see people suddenly go from the back to the front in a big hurry just by avoiding the wreck.
Now, Chris Wright, I'm going to bring you in here. Obviously, you picked up the victory on Sunday. What would your game plan be at this point in the race with about 37 laps to go? Are you up front trying to lead this thing down to the end, or are you still in that play it safe mode?
Well, I think you're in the second half of the race. If I was out here just to win, you might be able to hang out and see if they wreck again if you're at the back already. But if I'm anywhere in the top 15, I think you're trying to get the track position, establish yourself up front, trying to lead one of those lines and protect that track position.
The other factor is, depending on how close they are on fuel, you don't want to be at the front of the line for sure, or even second, because you want to be able to be off throttle a little bit and save a bit of gas. Especially
that's something I didn't even think about,
emergencies.
Alayton. But that was something that we had in the truck race too on Sunday night, was you had to save a little bit of fuel. So when I was out there, I was like, man, I don't hate it if somebody wants to get down in front of me so I can kind of roll off the throttle a little bit. So yeah, that's another whole nother dynamic here of the fuel mileage, because if you're running third, fourth car in line, you're saving, a lap or two more fuel than the guys out front. So if you're able to do that and it comes down to you need to save a lap or two, it might make all the difference. So I'm looking at like the 59, the 60, the 66. Those guys are probably in a really good spot. Maybe even William White up there, third car on the bottom, in a good spot to get a good max save kind of run right here.
Yeah, of all the people that we don't want to see in a good spot necessarily, William White is probably at the top of that list. Last thing we need is another win from him this season.
William White winning all the races down here, is he?
Every race that he started, he's won, I think.
Will won the
So-
first 4 races and then got suspended for 3 weeks, so he missed the next 4. But just a quick note as well, something that we didn't point out when it happened a couple weeks ago, but so far in this RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network season, through the first 8 races, we have winners from 3 different countries. So pretty cool to see the diversity of this series so far. Of course, William White picking up the first 4 victories out of the UK. Caleb Pacumer, Dominic Wright, and Gavin Higgins out of the USA. And Michael Hasek out of Canada picking up the win at the Oswego Oval. So 3 different countries represented. 5 different winners here so far.
Is that full representation of all the countries running in ARC? Kind of tough to know off the top of your head.
Yes, it is. So every country that's represented in the current ARCA field does have a victory so far. Maybe we'll get some crossover from some of the drivers in the Warriors for Peace Open Wheel Series that kicks off in, I believe, 2 weeks' time in early February. So maybe we'll get some of the Brazilian or other country representatives involved in this series. Chances of that are probably pretty slim, just because this is very different than what they're used to, but nonetheless, you never know. As I want to point out another driver that's just caught my eye up inside the top 10, Brett Baldeck in that number 33 machine. I think that's Fred Flintstone on the hood of that 33 car.
I think you're right. And he's another driver that got bailed out by a yellow. He had dropped to the back on that last start and almost lost it in the corner going on the apron. But yeah, he's recovered from that really nicely.
Casey Hatch coming down pit road. Some front end damage on that number 14 machine. I do believe it'll be night over for Hatch at this point. If he hasn't actually left the server, either way, it's going to be really tough to get back up there and have something to compete with towards the tail end of this race, as Josh Osborne working his way around. Got to be getting close to that 6-lap down mark, which unfortunately would be the end of the evening for the driver of that 07 machine. We'll see in a moment when it ticks across. Osborne 5 laps down, Dave Huckleberry 5 laps down, Andrew Rucker 4 laps behind your race leader at this point.
I believe it was actually Josh Osborne that got the lucky dog on that last yellow, which was kind of interesting because he was 5 laps down at the time and there were 3 or 4 drivers ahead of him that were lapped.
But if you remember that incident, I was just going to say, if you remember that incident, a lot of them got involved. And as we're coming up on a lap car here, that's Chris James going to go a lap down to the race leaders. He goes all the way to the apron and lets them by without incident. But if you even pick
what a
up,
move by Abbott right there, though, to lead that top lane. He was down there behind Frank as Frank took the lead. He squeezed up in that top lane. They didn't want him to. That 27 was looking to the outside 3 wide, but I'm not sure with the pushing that you can do in these cars that 3 wide is going to be too much help to anybody.
So what we've actually discovered, and Alayton was mentioning this earlier on, you can actually push with these cars maybe even better than the Robotics Photography Grand National car that we run on Monday nights, because they've made some changes in the last 9 months or so to change that bump draft feature on these race cars.
Well, that's good to hear. These guys can be pretty aggressive then, and do some, you know, back when I ran the ARCA series, you couldn't hardly touch the car in front of you because you were just driving up underneath him and lifting his rear wheels off the ground.
Yeah, it's one of those changes that they made without saying anything about it. So if you haven't tried it, you run into a lot of people that don't know that it changed yet.
Yeah, and now's really not the time you want to try it either if you don't know it, right? You still got, you know, maybe we get down there to some green white checkers or inside of 5 to go, then it's like, you know what, it's a chance we're taking. But right here with, you know, just under 30 to go, if these guys don't know it yet, it's probably not going to be a learning time just yet to see if you can push somebody all the way around.
Yeah, that's something you want to take care of in the practice session before qualifying starts. Definitely.
Just taking a look here, looks like we're not too far away from a couple more lap cars in Ray Bracy, Andrew Rucker, and Kurt Gibson. Unfortunately for Rucker, when the field does catch him, that will put him 5 laps down, so he'll have just 1 additional lap of leeway at this point in his run here this evening. But catching another pack of lap cars is going to make it interesting. That's where we've seen some of the issues tonight. 2 of our 3 cautions have come when
we just had a
passing
wreck
the
over
lap
here in
cars.
3 and 4 without a caution. Not sure who it was, but we lost about 8 cars or so off the back of this pack here.
Yeah, looks like probably involving Harrison Talon's blinking as he takes a pit side. Austin Sally, Cale Pocock, Justin Vandermeer, David Phillips, Josh Clark, all separated from the rest of the field. So I'm thinking that's probably where it was, Chris Wright, as that separation was not there earlier. Here comes those lap cars. So we're going to go high above. Just keep an eye as the field goes on by. This grouping, which mentioned, includes Bracy, Rucker, and Gibson, as Josh Osborne also goes a lap down. That's 6 laps down for him. So Josh Osborne done for the evening, and he's going to go ahead, stay out on the racetrack. Just 1 additional lap, but night over for the driver of the 07.
Yeah, William White right there seen the opportunity with all that shuffling to get up off the bottom. He was the 3rd car in line on the bottom, and he got up there to the top. Corey Abbott was able to get to the bottom. So a little bit of shuffling and jostling right there as they went through that traffic.
And Corey Abbott needs a good night, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there, Alayton. I'll get back to you in just one moment. This is the penultimate round of the regular season. Corey Abbott entered tonight 2nd in points, so needs a good run. A win would definitely help set him up for a good playoff run.
Definitely. With the incident in 3 and 4, it looks like what happened there was Harrison Talon was top of 3, just got in the wall, and when he pulled off the wall, it just kind of got loose on him, and he went around. So no yellow from that. It was at the tail end of the pack. It's unfortunate, but
I'm gonna tell you right now, Frank Fode is running this race very aggressive. I think he got some confidence winning at Talladega. If he loses the lead, he is pulling out, trying to take it right back. It's sometimes all you need at these super speedways, as you guys know, is a little bit of confidence. Sometimes you can make all the right moves and still get wrecked, and you second guess yourself. But Frank looks like after that win in Talladega, he is making every move that he needs to make, being aggressive, putting his car where he thinks it needs to be without second guessing himself, and trying to keep control of this race.
I want to point out 2 drivers that have really impressed me tonight. And first off, Austin and Abnett up in the top 10. He led a bunch of laps earlier on, has done a really, really nice job of putting himself in a good position, rebounding from any adversity that he's faced throughout the night, and putting himself up here with a fighting chance with just 24 laps to go, and just a couple spots behind him as well. Another driver that's fought through adversity all night long. We've seen him sideways. We've seen him lose the pack. Jaden Rasimas up there in position number 12. He's done a nice job in that number 19 machine, recovering from some earlier issues as well, and finds himself in a good spot to maybe have a chance at fighting for that victory a little bit later on. We saw Shea Mitchell in the outside wall just behind these guys. He's going to end up losing the pack, but nonetheless, we will stay green with 23 laps remaining.
And these guys are continuing to stay pretty calm as far as staying too wide. You see the occasional car go 3, but any other series, this would be 3 wide for at least 10 laps now.
Yeah, so these cars, just watching them here, kind of seem a little more wiggly side to side than any of the other cars that we run. That could also be because of the development series. Maybe they just don't have that fine-tuning adjustment yet, but I think the cars handle a lot differently here, and that's why we're kind of seeing the 2x2.
Yeah, we still have enough of the race left too that I don't personally see a need to go 3 wide yet. We're definitely getting to that point where people that are in, say, 10th, 15th back are going to have to start getting more aggressive with that and making some moves to work their way to the front.
Yeah, I think that the car that's focused right now, I believe, is probably once it catches the pack going to be going up towards the middle. He seemed to do that earlier in the run as well.
As we see Harrison Talon rejoining the field in car number 1, currently running in the 35th position. He had some connection issues earlier on. Another one of those drivers that finds himself 5 laps down to the race leaders. So he's going to need to hustle if he wants to stay on the lead lap and, or not on the lead lap, but in this race, as the leaders are very quickly approaching that number 1 machine.
Yeah, one of the other upsides of just being too wide is that lap cars can stay on the track as long as the leaders don't try and squeeze too much out of it. Because if you're going around the corners on the apron, it's very easy to kind of overcook that and go up onto the track mid-corner, Kevin LePage it, as I can personally attest to from last night. I was lucky that it wasn't a lot worse than it was.
Now, we're getting down towards the tail end of this one, guys, and you can all give your opinions on this. What lane would you rather be in, especially when we get to about 10 to go, 5 to go? Would you rather be on that inside lane where you have a bit more room to escape if there's a wreck to the outside? Or do you want to be up on the high side where you have a little bit more wiggle room to go 3 wide if you want to, up top, in the middle, wherever it is you may want to go?
For me to get to those final 5 laps, I want to be on the inside 100% of the time. But once you're there to those final laps, I think the outside is the place to be. Especially in these cars versus the next gen, where you don't have the side draft and you can just hug the bottom line and keep them trapped right on the yellow. You have nowhere to go if you're not the lead car there. So if you're not in the top, you don't have options.
All right, boys, I come bearing some fruit. Sounds
what
like...
do you got? You got pineapples, peaches, mangoes, guava. What do you got? Lychee?
All right, so I talked to the William White team, the Corey Abbott team. Not good. William White said he's right on the money, but now he's the leader of the line, which is not what he wanted to be. So that's going to hurt his fuel. So if I had to guess, that 43 is going to run out somewhere on the last lap. William White said he is not coming to pit road. They will run out of fuel on the last lap before they pit. Corey Abbott is short. He's pitting. Frank Fody, short. He's pitting. Unless there's a caution, short on fuel. The only guys that I heard that were confident that they could make it were the do-good guys, riding at the back of this draft. They said that they're about 2 or 3 to the good, riding at the back, so they're just hoping for it to go green, and maybe they'll be able to steal something.
Yeah, if I'm William White, I think I'm dropping back out of the lead here. I don't think holding that track position is worth running out of fuel, especially with the gaps that there are in the top lane right now. He could drop out, go back to 4th, 5th in line, probably pretty safely. Those gaps are closing up now, but yeah, saving fuel to the end is better than gambling at this point, I think.
Yeah, I mean, everybody outside of Do-Good's close. I think a couple guys I didn't mention right there who were telling me that they think they're going to be good, that they're right on the money and they're in the draft. Like Mitch Javier said he's good. I'm sure Kyle Hanshaw is going to be one of those guys that's good on fuel. So there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are feeling. Oh, and we're got a caution. It's gone now. Over and done.
Yep, not a concern now. That looked like it was who was that? The green and yellow car. Jeff Ryan went up on his roof there. We'll have to wait for a replay until Robert is back here.
You know, I know we're radio styling this right now, Alayton, but the guy who turned him is one of the guys that was good on fuel. It was the 32 machine, and he's the guy that needed it to stay green, and he maybe made a move that was a little bit too aggressive, and Gonna.
Yep.
I don't know if he was trying to shoot the gap and go to the middle and just caught his right rear, or what was going on there, but that kind of just caught him at a bad angle.
Yeah, I think Dusty just had a run there that he was trying to take up the middle and just didn't quite have the space for it.
Nonetheless, that's the caution that Dusty did not want to see. Dusty was probably going to be a top 5 position at the end of this thing without the caution. Sometimes it's better to sit there and kind of recognize what everybody else has got going on, and that, hey, you know what? If there's not a caution, we're going to have a shot to win this thing.
Yeah, that puts everyone in a very safe place, even with GWCs here, so kind of takes fuel out of the equation entirely. The only question is how much fuel people are going to put in, how much time they spend on pit road.
I think I'm pitting for sure, but some of these guys who are close might stay out. You know, like that's another thing. Like the track position's been hard to get. You've got enough now for scheduled distance if you're William White. You know, Frank Fody was 2 or 3 short, so I think Frank's probably got to come to put himself in a good spot. I think Corey Abbott's probably got to come. As I say that, they're passing pit road. Oh, here they come. Frank Fody's going to stay out. William White's coming. Abbott's coming.
So, it looks like it was a wild ride there for Jeff Ryan. Got hooked down the straightaway by Dusty Dewar. But like you mentioned, Frank Fody staying out, Hunter Smith, Michael Hosick, Tommy Ryan, Gavin Higgins, Caleb Pacumer. A bunch of them staying out. Jaden Rasimas, Austin Avnet, Tyler Dixon, Josh Smith, Dusty Dewar, Kyle Hanshaw, Chase George, and David Phillips. So William White going to be the first car on tires, going to come out in the 14th position. Just a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors here in the Elite Racing League. Blue Egg Marketing, rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And of course, RevLimit Workshop. Check them out over on X, and they'll hook you up with all your custom design and custom logo needs. As quickly, we'll just hear from our friends at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then we'll bring you to the finish of tonight's Daytona 200.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year. Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
And we are back here. It's the Daytona 200 on the Elite Racing Network. Robert Hill Jr., Alayton Norgard, Jesse Rasimas, and Chris Wright up here in the booth, bringing you all the action here this evening as the field heads through turns number 3 and 4. We're going to hand it down to Barney the Flagman as he's got the field coming in sight. Pace car is off as we get set to go green with 12 laps to go. Frank Fody, Hunter Smith, Michael Hosick, and Tommy Ryan, your front 2 rows as we're back underway. Green flags out here at Daytona.
Let's watch William White right here. He's going to have to put in his big boy pants, go to work here, make all the right moves, do everything perfect here to try to get back up here, but he's got the fuel. I think Frank Fody sitting there, he's needing at least one more caution to make this thing to the end.
I think Frank is in trouble if the caution comes too late, though. Like if it's
Green, white,
to
checker?
go,
Yeah.
he's gonna struggle to stretch it to the end, I think. I'm not a big fan of the stop for fuel that the Abbott cars made, just because that yellow is worth about 2 laps of fuel with the amount that you can save under yellow. So if Will was right
I'll
on
tell you
the
this.
line, they can make it.
Corey said he was about 2 or 3 laps short like Frank was, and then William tried to say that he was right on the money. I almost wonder if William wasn't a little bit closer to 2 or 3 short than he was letting on. You know what I'm saying? So I think they had to pit. And I think Frank, I'm not sure. I know Tyler's down there on the pit box. But I don't think you can wish more fuel into the car while it stays out on the racetrack.
You can
you never
wish,
know
but
if
your
drivers
wish
can-
doesn't always come true.
You never know if drivers are going to pull some gamesmanship when it comes to saying what they have left, but it might have also just been Will wanting to work with Corey and pitting to stay with him.
Will's in the middle of
scary.
4 wide, being aggressive back here, shooting through there, bouncing doors. William said, I have got to get up through this track. By his teammate.
As Alayton, you mentioned Corey Abbott having William White working with him. It looks like William White just worked against him and absolutely just kind of screwed over his team owner.
Yeah, I think William White's looking out for number 1, and I love it. You know, you work with your teammates to a point, but we're at 10 to go. It's time to look out for number 1. Look out for your own car. Try to get yourself back up at the front.
I mean, it's also hard when you've got a run going by your teammate. You can't just pull up and hit them and get them up to speed. I think they were in the corner at the time. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that right.
Correct.
But it's sketchy to do that. So I think Will is just maintaining his momentum.
Definitely an interesting moment anyways, as we watch the field working their way down the back straightaway. All kinds of spread out. Here comes Will. He's going to the top.
He's got Kyle with him, Kyle Henshaw.
And his teammates back there. Corey's in line as well.
Andrew Hardcastle not too far back from them either. But, you know, you mentioned Kyle Hanshaw being there. That's a guy you want to work with on these super speedways. Kyle might not always have the results, but he knows how to find his way to the front, especially late in these plate races. And Will now has 2 Lake Norman drivers ahead of him here. Will he stay in line with them, or will he go middle? The middle is going to close as Austin Sally now working his way through. He's pulling Vander Justin Morrow up with him in that 80 machine.
The 60's got to do some pushing here. That 60's got to lean on him.
Well, that's
He's got
getting
line
tight. 60's got to push Pecumer if they want to work their way forward. Pecumer now 3 wide for the race lead. Caleb Pecumer, Hunter Smith, and Frank Fody. Those 3 leading the way. If Pecumer can clear Hunter Smith here, Lake Norman could be 3 wide leading this thing. And that's not a bad thing either, because you control all 3 lanes, but you use up quite a bit of fuel as well.
Well, I think they're good on fuel. I think Frank's not, but I think the other 2 are. You just got to push hard, get by, you know, and I'm sure they're telling Tyler's in there coaching that 59. If you get clear, you have got to move down so he can get his car pulled off, but they've lost some of that momentum that they had.
Yeah, those two Lake Norman cars moving up are just about the last thing that Will wanted to see there. Just the way these cars have a tendency to just kind of form a solid wall at the front with no one moving forward or back. It's just, it puts Will in a position where he can't do anything.
And Will's trapped. He couldn't get out of there if he wanted to. You're on the top of 3 wide, third car in line, and there's 2 behind you. Now, one of them, of course, being your teammate, but that 59's all. Oh, the 60's in the wall.
Oh, no.
That's what Will wanted to see. Now he's in control of that line.
Big wreck.
He can push.
Andrew Hardcastle involved. The 29 also involved. Who's the 29? He doesn't exist. It's the Zachary Tyler involved. Kyle Hanshaw going to be involved in that one. Cautions out with 6 to go, and Hunter Smith is in the lead. Man.
You could just see Austin was not being really aggressive. He was kind of hesitant about pushing hard. And you know, he just made that one mistake there. Some guys paid the price a little bit more than he did for it. He's going to be okay. Come down here, fix his left rear. But one Lake Norman car, you know, this is his misfortune. But this is what Frank wanted to see.
Oh, unfortunately there, Andrew Hardcastle going to get a pretty big piece of that one, as will Kyle Hanshaw. Chris Albrecht going to get involved in that one as well, and the 29, as mentioned, of Zachary Tyler in his elite debut. But caution number 6 out, caution number 5 out here with 5 to go. And like you mentioned, Chris, it kind of does pay off for drivers like Frank Fody, like Hunter Smith, who are out front, might not be where they want to be on fuel, but have the opportunity to maybe save a couple laps here and get at least one green white checkered attempt in. And this one should be a natural green white checkered as well.
Yeah, they don't want to see any more. Another yellow. They probably got to bring that 41 to pit road.
Definitely not what they were hoping for at this point. Michael Hosek up in that 3rd spot. He's put himself in a fairly decent position at this point in the race to potentially get up there and snag a victory from these guys. Would be his 2nd victory of the season if he's able to do so. And by the way, the Battle of the Joshes, an update on that one. 4 drivers named Josh in this race. Currently, we have Josh Clark leading that battle in 13th, Josh Smith in 14th, Josh Personette out of the race in 33rd, and Josh Osborne also out of the race in position number 36. So it's Clark versus Smith for the Josh Trophy here today.
Well, the best looking car on the racetrack just got the lucky dog in Ray Bracey. I'm pulling for Ray. Get up there and win this thing. Put that car back in victory lane. Such a great looking car.
Yeah, check out Quick Shifts over on Bojo's YouTube channel. Always a good time over there. And he's driving a Honda Accord out here, unlike any other RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network entry that we've seen out here throughout the season.
And that's a Jeff Gordon throwback there is what I was getting at. Late 90s Busch Clash. I believe Jeff won in the car as well. So Ray trying to see if history can repeat itself. He's running out of time.
He's back on lead lap.
Crash. Yeah, we've seen big crashes before.
I believe that was the 93 or 94 car that he ran special.
Well, you know what we could do, guys? And this is always an option. Why don't we go ahead and do this? We'll bring him up and we'll chat with him about it. Ray Bracey, it's Robert up in the booth. Do you have a copy for real this time?
For real, I do.
Well, not the way you've wanted your race to go so far, but you've worked your way back on the lead lap here for what should be a natural green-white checkered attempt. Do you think you have anything to compete with these guys? Maybe get up there and battle for a top 10 at least?
No.
That's not what we wanted to hear, Ray. Not what we wanted to hear.
It's not for a lack of confidence. It's for a lack of car ability at the moment. I'm down on power, and I'm just lucky to be back on the lead lap here. So I'm just going to hope for some chaos to happen, steal some spots, and then just salvage what I can.
Ray, tell us about your paint scheme that you got on board that number 7 machine tonight.
Yeah, it's the old Jeff Gordon throwback, I guess you could say. It's one of my favorite Jeff Gordon schemes. I really wanted to do kind of a cool tribute to it. I don't know. I wasn't feeling my usual bright color self for some reason that day, so I decided to go with this one, and I think it looked pretty. I think came out pretty well. But yeah, it's a good one. It's one of my favorites, that's for sure.
Hey, I just looked it up. You're going to repeat history right here, right? You're going to win this thing. 1997 Busch Clash winner paint scheme right here.
That's right.
Repeat history.
I need 25 cars in front of me to crash, and then I can nail that for sure. Yeah.
Hey, well, it does say Daytona out here. It could happen.
Yeah, anything is. I mean, I'm not saying I have a 0% chance, but I definitely would like to be one of the cars up front.
Well, Bojo, before we get you back down to your team channel, any shout out sponsors, people you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks to you guys in the booth and South Shore Racing, as always my wife, who I love so much, and my cat Pushkin, who is basically the mascot for my silly Bojo paint scheme shop thing. So, yep.
Well, best of luck to you, Bojo. We'll get you back down there, and hopefully we see you up in the top 10 at the end of this one.
Hell yeah, let's get it.
That was Ray Bracey, better known as Bojo, as he gets set for the upcoming restart here with 2 laps to go. Fody, Smith, Hosick, Ryan, and Pecumer getting set to put us back under the green flag here at Daytona. The Daytona 200's back underway. It's a big jump by Frank Fody, but sometimes big jumps are not what you want to see here at the Daytona International Speedway, because that brings a freight train behind you.
Yeah, but they're not really formed up on the top any better. Now they get tight down here in 1 and 2, but I think it's going to be a net gain for him. One guy I've seen who got a great start back there and has already gotten to the bottom, trying to find out how he wants to move forward here, is William White, and we know he pitted for fuel. He's got the fuel to get to the end of this thing. That's going to be the guy right here, I think.
Well, he's looking middle, 3 wide down the backstretch. Higgins to the top, trying to avoid William, trying to avoid Bushman Chad as they head into turns number 3 and 4. White has Sally just behind him as they come through 3 and 4. Come to the white flag this time. If they see the white, next flag will end the race as we nearly have contact for the front of the pack. Hunter Smith, Frank Fody as the white flag's out. 1 lap to go here. William White into Hosick, turns him. Fody gets turned as well. Hunter Smith escaping from the rest of the pack. He's got Connor Thompson recovering behind him, but it looks like Little Eagle ready to soar here tonight as Hunter Smith heads down the backstretch for the final time. Nobody in sight as he's going to work his way down the backstretch towards turns number 3 and 4. William White and Caleb Pecumer working together. Don't think they're going to have nearly enough time as Smith through turns number 3 and 4. Coming off of 4 for the final time. It's going to be checkered flag for Hunter Smith, winner of the Daytona 200 here at the Daytona International Speedway. Let him fly. Little Eagle victorious tonight. Connor Thompson comes home second for Shift Esports. William White third. Caleb Pecumer fourth. Andrew Hardcastle going to bring it home in fifth. Gavin Higgins sixth. Seventh is Austin and Abnett. Eighth is David Phillips. Ninth is Cale Pocock, and Tyler Dixon round out the top 10. That was chaos, guys.
Yeah, I am shocked that Caleb stayed in line with Will and pushed him all the way to the line. I thought for sure he was going to pull out of 4 and take the podium position for himself. But it looked like that was some neck code between Will and Michael Hosek coming out of the tri-oval there. Which
it's unfortunate.
Don't want to see the race end that way, but...
Yeah, so I am actually going to pin that on the 43. He was actually making a left move towards the 24. Even though there was net code, he still would have came into him anyway.
Well, definitely don't want to come into somebody on the late stages of the race. As I'm just taking a quick look here, statistically, I want to see for Hunter Smith. if he has any elite victories already. Oh, yes, he does. He's got a few.
Let me tell you, that wreck was incredible. We got cars on top of cars on top of cars going down there into one.
Fourth career ARCA victory for Hunter Smith. First since August 27, 2024 at the Chicago Street Course. So cool to see Hunter Smith in victory lane here tonight at the Daytona International Speedway. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll talk to Hunter Smith, Connor Thompson, and William White, your podium finishers here at the Daytona International Speedway. Don't go anywhere.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
They tallied me. I think that's BS.
And we're back here in the Elite Racing Network at the Daytona International Speedway. Third place finisher, William White. Will, walk us through your race and what happened there at the end, buddy?
Well, it was a decent race. I started, 8th? Yeah, I had Corey near me as well. Started working with Kale towards the front. So I had those three to work with. That was good fun. Had Michael, Frank, Chris Albrecht as well, who ran really well, was up at the front. It was fun working with him. He was a great car to push. But at the end, I'm watching it now. I mean, I started 8th, and I decided the only way I'm going to win is if I just stop caring. So I forced Higgins out 3 wide, kept looking below Tommy, and then we come up the tri-oval, white flag. Hossack is looking above Frank. I bobble slightly, looking below Tommy, so it's kind of just a convergence. There's net code. I would honestly say the contact probably wouldn't have happened because we're both going straight when netcode says we hit. And then once I'm embedded between Hossack, Higgins, and Tommy, I just floor it and just steer wherever the car wants to go and just keep my foot pinned the entire way and manage to salvage a third of the banged up car. So I'm not too sad about the result, although I wish we didn't have a junkyard coming out of the tri-oval on the white flag there.
Now, I got to ask you, we're heading into Kansas, the regular season finale next week, and you've been on a bit of a vacation for the last couple of weeks. Everyone wants to know, have you learned your lesson?
Yeah, I guess I'll tow quicker when a back marker wrecks me when I'm 30 seconds in front. But yeah, I mean, I'll just tow quicker, I guess. I don't know. My car was pretty junked. I wasn't going to gain anything from just standing there. But regardless, yeah, we're not gonna go for the regular season championship. I think the max I'll get is like second or third. I don't think I can catch Arsak or any of that lot. But we've got a chase still to win, so the winning streak starts at Kansas, I guess.
And what do you think about Kansas? Is that a race that you think you have a good shot at winning?
I enjoy Kansas. We ran there in the second season, 23B. Ran well there. It was in the Gen 4, but still ran well. It's a track I'm okay at. It's an intermediate, which I enjoy. So hopefully going to be running up front there, try and get win number 5 and maximize what I can get out of the regular season. But like I say, I probably won't get the regular season championship with my 3 races on the naughty step. But yeah, we'll see what we can do post Kansas in the chase.
Well, William, before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank for putting that number 43 out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, of course. I've got RevLimit Workshop sponsoring the league. That's Thomas Kuhnen's whole thing. He's part of the Advent Motorsports crew. That's him, Corey, Andrew, Brent, Kale now, Alayton, you in the broadcast booth, but you're still part of the gang. Everyone else, Shay and Drew, who are on BOR tonight. Everyone in the field for having a mostly clean race, to be fair, apart from that one junkyard. Right at the end, shout out to everyone I was working with, shout out to you a lot in the production booth, and everyone at Elite for making it happen.
I don't think you actually thanked your sponsor on the car there, Will.
Did I not? I didn't mention Chichester. Oh, well.
I don't believe you
yes,
did.
Of course. The University of Chichester, I'm with their esports program. They're always good fun to hang out with and rep on the car, and it means I get a nice excuse to have a nice navy gold scheme going on. So that's always fun.
There you go, the University of Chichester. As we send William White off after a solid P3 finish. Good run here tonight, Will.
Thank you.
We'll now go ahead and throw it over to Alayton Norgard that's going to be standing by with Connor Thompson after his second place run here tonight.
Hey, Connor, Alayton in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
That was quite a move to avoid that chaos on that last lap. Did you think you were going to get through that cleanly like that?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know the last couple laps are crazy, and I figured if I start seeing them spin, I was just going to turn it pretty low. But going to the turn like that, I was kind of just letting off the gas and praying I wasn't going to end up in the catch fence, and it kind of worked out. But I had a lot of damage, and then kind of just watched Hunter drive away, which kind of sucked. But all in all, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the broadcast really caught it, but that was one hell of a dodge and definitely deserving of a second place to get through that like that. Did you think you were going to be able to be up there at the end, or was the race kind of not quite going the way you wanted?
I kind of thought with about 10 or 15 to go, I kind of shot up the middle lane. And I kind of thought I had some moves for the end, and then William White kind of went through the middle too. So it worked out how I wanted to. And, if it would have stayed green, I don't know, for that last lap. Everybody gets log jammed, but it kind of worked out the way I wanted it to. And Talladega at the end of last season kind of worked out the same way, and I got turned come to the line. So it kind of played out how I thought, and, seconds, okay, but just kind of want that first win.
Yeah, for sure. One benefit of the finish being all strung out like that is that you don't have to worry about getting wrecked coming to the line. It was all done at the start of the lap instead. Before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank, shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, Golden Brew, obviously, and then everybody at Shifty and Seth Rawls Design and AB Quality. We actually kind of have a lot of legit sponsors for the season. So it's kind of cool, and thank you to you guys, because y'all put on the show and we all get to kind of rate. So just thanks to everybody, and it's fun racing with everybody. I enjoyed the league very much.
All right. Well, thanks and congrats on the second place. I hope you get that first win soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That was Connor Thompson, your third place finisher here tonight. Now we're going to throw it back down to Alayton Norgard, who's in victory lane with our race winner, Hunter Smith.
Hey, Hunter, Alayton in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do.
First off, congrats on the win. You were the only car that made it through that wreck untouched. Connor Thompson might have, but he lost a lot of speed coming back up on the track. But did you think that wreck was going to be that? Well, you always expect that wreck on the last lap, but did you think it was going to be that early in the lap?
No, I did not think it was going to be that early in the lap at all. I was thinking we're going to get a solid 3 wide and that top lane was going to develop again. But I have no idea what I'm doing these plate tracks, to be completely honest, and I think things are finally starting to turn. I finally figured out a way to put my car up there. But yeah, I was shocked. Usually I'm always in those crashes. I was not going to lie, I was kind of laughing down the backstretch because usually I'm in the thick of it. So things are changing, I think.
We know some cars were kind of tight on fuel there. Was fuel a concern for you at all, or were you kind of pretty safe there?
I was solid. I was sitting probably 7th, and then I pit on lap 41 at that caution and topped it off, put about 3.5 gallons in. So I ended up with about 12 laps of extra fuel. So it wasn't a problem for me. So got lucky there, I guess, on the strategy.
Other than that, any thoughts on the race? Anything you feel like could have been better for you? I mean, you got the win, but kind of circumstances made it a lot safer for you.
Nah, honestly, when we had the green flag racing, it was some of the best I think we've had all week. This car races so well. It gives and takes, and like especially compared to the Xfinity race yesterday, where it's just you're stuck, you can't move. At least these things and how most of the guys are racing, there were some gaps you could shoot some things here and there. Besides just a couple of the gaffes, with us dealing with lap cars, I think the guys tonight raced really well overall. In all honesty, I think the series is looking pretty good with the talent we got coming through Elite. So,
yeah, I definitely agree on the car. Before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank? Shout outs you want to give?
Appreciate it to my guys over at Little Eagle Racing, and of course, good old Robert Hill for the shout out on the broadcast. And yeah, Warriors for Peace for always being on the car, and the Hoosier 500 is joining us, I believe, as a sponsor. So look out for that race if you're interested in running. So appreciate it, guys, and I hope you have a good night.
All right, congrats on the win, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that was Hunter Smith, your race winner here tonight, guys. Final thoughts from you, Alayton, Jesse. What do you guys got? Jesse, I didn't think you were here, but glad to know you're back.
No, I was here. It's just Jaden comes down after he's done with his race, and we kind of talk a little bit. So I usually just mute myself until I'm needed. I was waiting for the call for Hunter, and it went to Alayton again. So sorry, Alayton.
I can pull him back in. You can talk to him again.
But no, I mean, race was pretty decent. A couple of small issues we had in the beginning. Guys just not slowing down enough and not being smart when you got a whole pack of cars coming up on you. But other than that, I mean, the race was pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, not much more to expect from Daytona. It was nice action packed. We've seen a lot of nice passes, seen some 3 wide racing, and for the most part, it was pretty clean.
Yeah, I think with the exception of some of the lap car interactions, this was a pretty good race. I hope the 500 is just as good, but I kind of am afraid that it won't be.
Well, for me, I think this was a really good Daytona race here tonight. A lot of good action, a lot of side-by-side all night long, and we didn't see that many big wrecks compared to what we've seen in the past and in some of the other series this week. So really cool to see these development drivers put on a show, and can't wait to watch the RevLimit Workshop 500 tomorrow night here on the Elite Racing Network. Dave Huckleberry, Zach Evans, and David Westergreen and crew will do a great job bringing us all the action for that one. Be sure to tune in, guys. Support ERN, support the drivers that put on these shows, and of course check out RevLimit Workshop over on X for all your custom design needs. They're there for you. They'll work with you and work with any budget that you do have. So check them out. Tell Thomas and company that ERN sent you, and just show them that that their investment really does work out here on the racetrack. Of course, check out Pit Pass Network as well, pitpassnetwork.com for all your motorsports needs, from news to reviews and interviews. Pit Pass Network has got you covered. On behalf of Alayton, Norgard, Jesse, Rasimas, Chris Wright, and company, my name is Robert Hill Jr. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the RevLimit Workshop 500 on the Elite Racing Network. Have a good night, everybody.